Hi everyone, welcome to the Tradies Family Podcast. I'm your host Frankie, the founder of the Tradies Family. I'm here to bring you practical, down-to-earth advice and support for partners of trade business owners, helping you achieve that elusive work-life family balance. I understand what it's like to be in your shoes. As the wife of Greg Allen, trade business owner and founder of the Tradie Success Academy, I've ridden the roller coaster and I've learned firsthand the challenges, struggles, juggles, and joy that living within a trade business can be. So if you're ready to reclaim your work-life-love balance, join me on this journey. Let's support each other and figure this out together. How was your morning?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it was a relatively good morning in the scheme of 3 children in the morning. So
amazing. Yes, well, thank you so much for sparing a moment of your time to get here. How old are your kids, Jacqui?
So we've got 3. We've got a 12-and-a-half-year-old Chloe. We've got our 10-year-old Alexis and our just over 2-year-old Brody.
Oh, wow. Busy house.
Very, but we love it.
Of course. You I sort of think sometimes I meet these 20-something-year-olds and they're like, oh, I'm so busy. And you think, doing what?
Not busy yet.
Absolutely. Now tell me, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. But tell me, tell me about the business. Tell me about, you've got 3 kids. Who's your partner?
So Shane has been running our business for the past probably, I think we're just on 5 years now. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, great. And what's your trade business?
Yep. So we started off just electrical. Shane did a mature age apprenticeship and ended up going out on his own, obviously. And we probably 12 months ago introduced officially the air conditioning side into it as well.
Awesome. So you've got electrical and you've got air conditioning.
Yeah.
Epic. That is so, hats off to Shane and the family, of course, because I know it's such a, it's a combined effort and such a team thing to do a mature age apprenticeship. How did that come about?
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think we're suckers for punishment sometimes. So we actually, it was almost 13 years ago, we were expecting Chloe, our first. We were living at Springfield Lakes in Brisbane. We had lived in Brisbane, both of ourselves separately for quite some time. We got married and stayed there, sort of thing. And when Bub was on the way, we actually had my brother and his wife returning to the Sunshine Coast after travelling for some time. They had just had their first as well. And we kind of just had this, Shane in particular, just really wanted a sea change. Wanted to do something a little bit different. So we decided to throw caution to the wind and move up the Sunshine Coast. I was on maternity leave at the time. Shane didn't have a job up on the coast, so he was travelling back to Brisbane for work every week. So we landed ourselves here on the Sunshine Coast and we did that kind of jumble for a little bit where he went back and forth and whatnot. And ultimately, after taking some labouring work and whatnot on the coast, actually started our own little vehicle spray painting business because that was Shane's previous trade actually. But we discovered that was not for us. So he took on a mature age apprenticeship. We actually got it, a friend of a friend, you know how that goes sort of thing. They said, oh, we'll put you on as an apprentice, that's fine. And so he qualified, and so our story began in that kind of industry. Stop me if I babbled a bit too much, but we actually, as it turns out, he finished his apprenticeship with one company who we'd heard whispers were perhaps going into liquidation. And at that point in time, my brother actually said to Shane, if you would like to entertain going out on your own, I would love to have an electrician come join our team. So he did just air conditioning himself. He said, if you come and give me 6 months and, find your feet in that space, then you can go out on your own and I can give you our work to start up with. And it was the best start into business I think that we could have ever asked for. It was amazing because obviously that then gave us a huge net worth that he was already dealing with, that then has flowed on this whole time sort of thing. So yeah, and it was
Wow.
only
That
that gave us
that's
that.
amazing. Sorry, Jackie. I'm just going to stop you there because that sounds incredible.
Right.
So you've gone from doing you in the spray painting, doing spray painting as a trade, and
Right.
then going and doing and then you had the business. So
Yeah.
so the spray painting business. So were you guys working together at that stage in that?
Very fully.
Amazing. Okay. So how long did you have the spray painting business?
Not long at all. I think we would have been lucky to have it for about 12 months. We just could not
Okay.
find a beat. So
What was the hard bit like? I mean, setting up a business is more than probably anyone could actually imagine unless you're doing it. But then, marketing and bringing in customers is another thing. So what sort of challenges were sort of like the biggest ones in that business?
So we were obviously very new to the coast. So for a start, our network of social in the social capacity was quite small, next to nothing business wise. We'd actually bought the company from someone else who was already doing it. So there was potential for it to do really well because there was a customer base there already, but we were so naive as to what to do with that, and all those sorts of things that go with it, that we just kind of were plodding along and really making it up as we went, and just didn't know what to do. We just didn't know what to do. And
as most people who open a business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that all that we learned from that situation was that we were not capable of running a business. Like, that's all that we were able to get from it. Like, that was
Okay. I'm so sorry that you had to learn that the hard way, but so many people do, right? Because it is like, okay, what a good idea. And then you're like, oh my God, this is actually really hard.
Yep. And we had babies, and we were trying to find ourselves in this new space. And it's laughable now.
Huge. Do you remember the year, like what year it was?
Yes, so that would have been probably 2011, the end of 2011 through to early 2012.
Yeah.
Not all that long ago, but
but enough. Oh, we have like certain like years in like our relationship that have in the business that it's sort of like that year, like 2012. That year was, like a year that things absolutely were really hard. Maybe it was just the year.
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So then you had the business, and then you decided that wasn't for you. And then Shane went and did his mature age apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And so what was that like in like him going out on his own as a mature age? It's that's a big jump, right?
It is. Well, we were stretched initially, obviously, when he was actually doing the apprenticeship. I was a stay-at-home mum. We knew that ultimately he was really enjoying himself doing it. So it was that sacrifice that we were willing to make in that space and that time.
Amazing.
And by the time he finished his apprenticeship, we didn't have a plan past there, as in we never set out for him to break off on his own in industry. And so I don't know, I'm not really one to think that the universe has a plan for us as such, but like so many things play out in a way that you're like, you cannot deny that has worked so well for us. So when my brother had offered for him to move across with him, it was so daunting.
No.
Again, like the pressure. We had 2 small children at the time. We'd actually, I'd not long gone back to work, and we kind of gotten to the point where we'd just saved up enough money to buy a house of our own. So we'd had taken that leap and bought a house. And so by the time my brother Matt was like, come work for me, I can promise, if you promise me 6 months, I'll give you more past there, And we're like, well, it's a bit like, when's a good time to have a child? Never. So when is a good time to go out on your own? I'm not sure there's ever a good time, but we needed that push. He gave it to us, and it just rolled so smoothly.
Yeah.
In the sense of that leap from one to the other, it was quite a natural and organic thing.
Wow. So yeah, that was the universe it was meant to be, because it happened. Yeah. And so, sorry, just to clarify, was it your brother who was the air conditioner? So your brother had the air conditioning business, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then so he was like, come and work for me. This is after his apprenticeship. Come and work for me as an electrician, and then we can expand on that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so now, does Shane and your brother run together, or they have separate businesses?
So this is where it got a little bit difficult for us, and kind of was a pivotal moment that ultimately, like I'd said in my introduction on our Facebook page, that kind of pushed us to join Tradie Success Academy, right? So Shane went on to work with Matt for quite some time. He did break off on his own. So like Matt gave him a work vehicle. He did all those things that were really good to help us establish ourselves in that sense. We did the brave leap of then buying our own car, and that felt like a really huge, scary commitment, in that space, because we're trying to support ourselves, trying to run the business, and then you go and get finance, and it's like, oh, are they going to say yes? Not really knowing exactly how all that works and all that sort of thing. So that was good, and it was brilliant because, like I said, having that network that Matt provided meant that Shane actually, when he went out on his own, he did have quite a bit of work that came through that funnel really nicely. And then in 2020, so it was the end of 2018 when Shane actually went out on his own. Roll forward a few years where it was going really well. Stressful times come in that ebb and flow kind of feeling, as it does. But moving forward to 2020, COVID hit. So we had a holiday booked to Tasmania. Couldn't go. My brother and his wife and kids were actually meant to head to New Zealand for a wedding. They couldn't go. So my brother and his family, with my other brother and his wife, decided that they were going to do a trip to Fraser Island, because it was within our state, we could still travel there. They wanted to have a holiday. And so, unfortunately, during that holiday, we lost my brother. He actually was bitten by a shark and didn't make it. So, sorry if I get emotional.
Jacqui.
In that space, obviously, I don't want to pretend like I was the one that was impacted, because obviously my brother's wife and his family are still, day-to-day dealing with that. But in Shane's effort, and my gosh, I cannot take my hat off enough to him in that space, in his effort to do everything that he could for my brother's family, he put everything else aside and tried his best to complete my brother's unfinished work, which sounds ridiculous. It's not like it was a, this mammoth thing that was going to impact the whole world. It was our world, not everyone else.
Of course.
He just wanted to tidy up those loose ends for Kayla and the kids, and just try and make the best of that situation for her. And so as a result of that, he was doing 2 and 3 days a week for Matt's stuff, and our stuff just kind of naturally fell off the end a little bit, and we were just doing what we could. And so, what that meant was a little way down the track, we obviously were starting to feel the impact of that in our business. Not that we would ever change how that played out, in that sense, but we're just finding ourselves then also playing that mental game of, what are we doing this for? Why are we putting so much time? Why is Shane specifically putting so much time and effort into a business that's ultimately taking him away from his family? Why are we stressing about how we're going to pay the statements? Why are we stressing about why we can't make ends meet for our own personal, bills and all that sort of thing, when he could just go work for someone else and we could be done with it? But really, by the time we'd laid all those things out, we're questioning it. We were like, well, no, this is the whole point of us having our own business, is that it's meant to be more freeing, meant to be more flexible. It's meant to give us more time with our family and ultimately be able to achieve our goals. So where have we gone wrong? How do we fix this? And of course, I think that our phones were listening. You know, somebody was listening to our conversations, and then we started seeing great silly stuff come up on Instagram and all those sorts of things. And Shane said to me, I think I need to do this. And we had tried a few different other things in the background to try and make some cash flow happen and whatnot, and just not being able to commit to it properly. And he said, you know, it's going to cost this much. What do you think? And I was a little bit apprehensive and thought, I don't know if it's the right thing to do. And then he showed me some more videos of the introductions and things like that. And I just thought, you know what? It's promising all of the things that we've been questioning. You know, why can't we have everything that we've wanted? And how do we get there? And it just became really clear really quickly that it was giving us the answers of how to do better for ourselves. And so I think Shane watched those first few introductory videos. Well, sorry, when we joined the course, then I think he watched the first few videos by himself, and I was kind of in the background and I could hear stuff. And he said, oh, I think it'd be really good if you came and listened as well. And I thought, you know what? I think that it would. And so, also to fill in a gap there, in that space where we were like, what do we want for ourselves? One of the things that we'd put off was that we were wanting to have a third child. And so at the end of 2020, we were like, let's not be the people that don't do things because it's not a good time. Let's try for a baby. If it happens, it happens. I was never under the impression that having a baby was going to help heal my grief, because we all know that babies won't help heal anything. But, you know, we're like, what? We can't keep putting it off. You know, if we want to have a baby, if we want to do more travel, if we want to do all these things, let's just make it happen. Let's stop putting these things off. So we did. We had Brody on the way. He was due in July of 2021. And so by the time we picked up on the course, he was a few months old, and we were kind of in that space of, what do I do for work now as well? Do I go back to work? Do we put him in childcare? All those sorts of things. And so I'd started working a little bit more in the background of the business. And then sure enough, after listening to all of our TSA meetings and things like that, we're like, no, all right, yeah, I need to be taking on some of these tasks, wear some of those hats for you, so that we can free you up to be doing the things that you want to be doing in developing the business a little bit more. And we kind of settled in this space where we were then both permanent fixtures in how we're just going to run things moving forward.
Wow. Jacqui.
A lot.
Wow. I'm really trying to hold back all the tears, because wow, that is so much. So Matt's your brother, right? It's Matt?
Yeah.
Wow. I can't even imagine how that. So 2018, is that right?
2018 we started business. 2020 was that turning point when we lost that. Yeah.
Wow. And I guess, you know, like, time goes so fast, right? And especially when something's so significant and such a huge loss. Was he your older brother or your younger brother?
So I have two older brothers. Rob is our eldest brother, and Matt was our brother, second oldest, middle. Yeah. And do you know what? It's one of those things, not to get sidetracked. I obviously, when you lose someone, no one experiences it as you do, right? And it's just unfathomable, that emotional roller coaster. And it was obviously one of the hardest things I have ever dealt with. Still, you know, every day, but there were so many different layers of things that were going on at the same time. We also happened to have lost him on my niece's 10th birthday, her actual birthday. And so, you know, every year when it's her birthday, I made it my goal, you know, to that it's about her, because we remember my brother every day, as they do, I'm sure. You know, and like, so there was so many different layers to what had happened. My other brother was actually in the water with him and helped him to the rock. So, you know, like, there was it. It was huge. It had huge impact on us. They were obviously in a place where we weren't, and the whole family couldn't be there for them in the way that we wanted to immediately, you know, and all those sort of things. And so it did it. And I'd go as far as saying as well that he was one of my best friends. He was one of Shane's best friends. He was this person that he was. He got diagnosed with Asperger's as a child. He wouldn't have known as an adult because he just oozed this personality that people just gravitated to him, and he made everyone feel like they were important person, and everything that they had to say was important. And so losing that for Shane and I was so dramatic. And Shane just modeled that, and he kept going, and you know, and down the track now we find ourselves in a much better place, obviously, but it was a lot to deal with. I was a lot to deal with, and then Shane was basically trying his best to run both businesses for a period there.
Oh my God. Wow. I just want to give you a big hug. Wow, that's I mean, like, huge is not even the word for it, right? That's affecting everyone in your family, and then, you know, running a business is hard enough as it is, we say, and then, you know, life events, especially something so significant that affected, you know, everyone in your family, and still does. It sounds like Matt was an incredible person, and you know, to get your family started on things, and then for Shane to, like, you know, dealing with grief and supporting you and the family, and, you know, huge changes in his life, and then to hop into Matt's business and run two businesses. And then wow. So
it's one of those things that I say to Shane often, like, because he never considered himself a scholastic person, like he wasn't, you know, like school and those sorts of things. But I said to him, did you imagine, like, you could be an adult with two trades and have run, well, not successfully, but run two businesses, not including my brothers, obviously, but, you know, like, to find ourselves in this place now, and to have, since joining the TSA, to have the network, the information, the access, all those sorts of things, it's such a different version of those experiences that we've already had. And it's amazing. Like, it changed our lives. It really has.
Jacqui, that means so much, because even oh wow. I'm like, sorry, it's bringing up stuff in me, because that's the whole reason it was created, because like, I was a ICU nurse, and, you know, I've seen so many people go through so many really awful situations, and even the work I've done as a palliative care nurse, and you know, watching or being with families as someone, you know, passes, is something that never ever goes from you. And there's something about, you know, nurses stick together. Sometimes I think it's because of this. You understand that life is so precious. And then, I mean, my experience, and, you know, having that at work, and then coming home, and then us working all the time and arguing often, and then you know, having our kids, and it's like, why are we doing this? The whole reason of you going and starting your own business was so we have more control of our life, and it feels like we have even less. And what is the point of life if this is what we're doing with it? So, you know, even getting our electrical business to where it, you know, is, and then being like, okay, well, what do we do now? You know, like, first of all, oh my God, is it actually, we can step away? But then, you know, what do we do now? And it's sort of like, let's, you know, because there's so many people, like, as hard as it was, and we're like, surely we can't be the only ones finding this so difficult. How do we run a business and live by our values as a family, and make the most of life because it is so precious, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So where are you guys? Where are you guys now in the business? What's happening now with things? How's Shane doing?
Right now, we're finding ourselves in one of those lulls where things aren't going as smoothly as we like, and we know exactly where we need to fix the problems. But some of those things are out of our control in one way. But what we have found, so we are now well and truly a year into having the coaching under our belt, and we have started an apprentice. We had an apprentice join our team this time last year. We have one trade staff, and we are looking for our second currently. It's I think that with all of these changes that we've implemented, like with anything, getting our head around how that looks, how that feels, learning the processes, implementing the processes, and all those sorts of things. Obviously, all steep learning curves. They're not something that we've found is an immediate fix that just makes everything perfect, obviously. But it's so good. What some of the benefits that I've seen personally for how Shane operates is that, we were very much that he was working too many long hours. He was coming home, spending the rest of his awake time in the office. The kids weren't getting to see very much of him. When we did see him, he was tired and not very pleasant to be around. And, we know that that's not our person. But in an effort to try and support, you deal with it, you move through those difficult times, and you think next week's going to be better. And sure enough, there comes a time where you can have a day off work, and while the kids are on school holidays, then you can have a nice time, or we might be able to pull away for a holiday at some point. But then you know that there's a mess to be prepared to deal with when you get back. And so with introducing all of our coaching strategies that we've been learning and that sort of thing, we know that now we can implement these step-by-step plans to help us reach those goals. So whether it be a small goal like having a long weekend and making sure that the workplace is still there for the tradies while they're away and that sort of thing, it's made such a big difference, I think, because I believe that most of it is just being able to wrap our heads around what's required and having bite-sized pieces to deal with rather than trying to look at the big picture and being like, how do we get there? Not knowing. We know what we want, we don't know how to make that happen. And so in this 12 months, we've been able to take a couple of family holidays. We have our tradesman learning how to use our system so that he can actually book in quotes, he can quote himself. Obviously, again, that takes time to learn those things, but we can see that we're taking steps now in the direction where we're able to hand over some of those jobs and be able to have someone taking a little bit more responsibility for themselves, giving them opportunity for growth as well. And so ultimately that looks like Shane being finished for the day when I'm home from picking up the kids from school, and we can take the kids and the dogs to the beach for a walk, and we can go for a ride or whatever that may be for that day. We're setting goals for our family. Like it's not, we never did that, so from a business perspective, it made sense, in 5 years, we want to have X amount of staff or, that sort of thing. We're working with the kids now. Have a list of things that you'd like to achieve. If you've had a great week at school and you've come home and you've knocked out all your chores and all that sort of thing, what would you like to do on the weekend? Do you want to go to the beach? Do you want to go to the Kenilworth Bakery? That's a bit of a hype thing for us.
Sorry, what is it?
Kenilworth Bakery.
Okay.
The most amazing bakery on our coast. They're actually more local now as well, but it's a lovely drive out there.
Awesome.
Just it's had a flow-on effect into our personal lives because it's a change of mindset, and understanding and realizing that these things actually create really healthy habits. And it's about making things easier. It's not for us. It's not about making things more difficult or more involved and things like that. It's about how is this going to alleviate pressure for us.
A
So,
hundred, 100%. And it's
yeah,
like for all the things that it was sort of like, what the whole point of TSA and what it's trying to get across, it's just like magic coming out of your mouth being like, yes, and it's that, not that whole thing of like, tick, it's done, we have a wonderful business. It's
yeah,
the process in getting there. It's sort of like, this is tough, but we're going to make sure that we prioritize our family, and we're going to make sure that we're doing the best we can in the time. And if it is too tough, what can we put instead of that? Like, if that system's not working, how about we try this system? Or
yeah,
like, I'm burning out. And I absolutely love what you just said before was, that's not our person. And
yeah,
and you knowing Shane and who he is, and the wonderful person he obviously is, and how well he can do, and you recognizing, something's not quite right. Maybe he's not his best self. And
yeah.
and are there sort of things that sort of, I mean, how long have you been together?
Almost 20 years.
Wow. And through, more than most couples, right?
Yeah,
So I'm sure you can look at him and just be like, you're not quite right.
yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And yeah, that's hard to bring up with them sometimes as well, because I feel like that here's just another bit of pressure to add to your boiling pot. Like, can you not be grumpy? I know when he tells me that, it doesn't make me feel good. And so, like, it's hard to see them in that place and feel like by bringing it up, it's not actually going to make things better. But, you have to say something to be able to face that challenge and get past it.
And what does your something look like?
Well, so this week just gone, he's been on the tools a lot. Actually, it's probably been about a fortnight. On the tools a lot, obviously back in the office a whole heap after hours, haven't seen him a lot and all that sort of thing, and leaving the house before I'm awake sometimes, and those sorts of things. And we happen to catch each other in the morning, and we were in the backyard, funnily enough. He was leaving with his lunchbox, and I was standing there with a load of laundry, and he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "No, I can't do that to you. You've got to go. It's fine." And he said, No. So we stopped for a minute and put our things down. I inevitably started crying. I don't think I have a filter for that these days. My capacity has reached maximum, and so everything comes out my eyes. And he was trying to get out of me, and I said, "I just don't think it's fair for me to put it on you." And he said, No, what is it? I said, "Well, we haven't really been getting the best version of you recently, have we? We haven't seen you a lot, and when we do see you, you're not very happy. That's not very pleasant." And of course, like, apologizes and that sort of thing. We understand and appreciate that it's just a season at the moment. It's not forever. We are making progress and that sort of thing. And so I think that with everything that we've experienced in our relationship, though, as well, like, we know that you have to communicate really well. And, I love listening to your first podcast there, sitting in the session that you did the other day as well, where you're talking about having those conversations, because it just is so true. I think that there's so much of, I think even as a woman, like, we have this idea that they can just read our minds and know. They should just know what we need and what we want, right? And I'm sure the same goes to them, but they just care a little less, maybe. I don't know what it is. But, and so it's going, why aren't they noticing that I need X, Y, and Z? And you're like, actually, I just need to say it. I need to say it, and I need to not say it with attitude, because then I just sound like my preteen daughter. And so just learning myself, learning Shane, and knowing that I need to have control over my emotion a little bit, say what I mean without it being pointed, and listening the other side of that. It goes so very far for us. I realize that not everyone, I don't know, not everyone has the capacity to deal with those things, I think, in the same manner. But we've been through a lot, and if we don't talk about it, we can't. There's only so much that you can push down really deep until it boils over, and so those conversations for us have become really important. And even to the point, like last night, Shane was asking me about something at 9:15 to help with his email, and I huffed it in. I was like, oh. And he goes, what? And I said, I don't want to be doing this at this time of night. And he said, fair call. All right. Can you have a look at it tomorrow? I said, yeah, absolutely. Because it's if I just sat there and did it, I'd be so grumpy, and then I'd be resentful. I just
wow, Jacqui, you are incredible. Honestly, you're doing such an incredible job, and even like all that stuff about just being aware of how you're feeling, and then like how your feelings come out into what Shane's currently what his load, and your emotional intelligence, and how you're gonna articulate that for the best outcome, because you're absolutely right, not everyone has the ability to filter it so eloquently as you sound like you do. But I know in myself, I had to learn how to communicate properly, because I'm a Scorpio and I'm really good at stinging. So sometimes it just comes out as a little bite-sized venom, but it never got anywhere. In fact, it makes things so much worse. And so if you can check in with yourself and structure it and word it in such a way and in such a time that it's actually going to be constructive, then you're more likely to get what you want out of the situation, which is always to be more harmonious, right?
I think so. And like I'm by far perfect. Like, don't get me wrong. You have such a same.
None of us are.
You have a different version, right? But
absolutely,
sometimes I need some time to process it. I'll have the argument with myself before I have the argument with him, because I want to go in with my guns loaded, and it's not healthy. But I think that by having that conversation in my head already, like I can do his battle. I'll be like, I know what he's going to say about that. I know I can already predict. And then by the end of it, I'm like, you're being irrational. You need to calm down because this isn't going to go well. If you're going into it, what do I want to get out of it if I go into it like that? And I'm not 100% right, even though I want to be. But like, yeah, it's all a matter of perception as well. Like, I perceive myself to be right all the time.
yeah.
But
absolutely. And like, we're open to say that Greg and I have had counseling before, because like crap got so hard for in that really, really hard time. This is why it's so important to us that we try and help as many people not to go through this hard time. But a counselor told us really like something that we've carried through forever. And it's like, like we met each other and we liked each other. And it's like, and then we loved each other. And then all of a sudden things got really terrible. And it's like, what happened? Why don't we like each other anymore in those really hard times? And she said, it's not you, it's not me, it's the situation. And we have said that so many times to each other. It's sort of like in our frustrations or, whatever's going on, it's like, okay, I'm really upset, and I know it's not you, and I know it's not me, but just this situation is very stressful at the moment, and I'm having a hard time. And that has just saved us so many times from putting the blame on anyone, because, like we're 98% of the time all trying our best, apart from those times where we just, are usually too tired to try our best, but we're usually always trying our best. And so when things are miscommunicated or things go wrong, it's not my bad, it's not his bad, it's just the situation is a lot going on right now.
Absolutely. I think, and it's got so much to do with that attitude shift, the mental shift though as well, isn't it? Because just by phrasing it differently, you go, whoa, hang on a second, that changes everything. That absolutely changes everything, and I can deal with that.
And even having that like argument in yourself, right? Like my go-to, or our both go-to is journaling. It's like, we're just super crabby, And then it's like, oh, I'm just going to write it all out here and then by the end of it, I feel like after I've sort of like journaled a few 10 pages, I get to the end of it. It's like, what is my problem? Okay, this is my problem. Okay, how am I going to come to Greg and we like constructively fix it, as opposed to me spending 10 pages just blasting him for all these things that, feelings.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is the problem. This is my problem. How are we going to fix it? And he's like, oh, we'll just do this, or we could try that, or, I have this in my schedule. Okay, great. And then, I've processed mine, and it sounds like you've processed yours. You've got to the point and you're like, okay, cool. Now we don't have to scream and yell at each other or argue in front of the kids, because we can just be like adults about it and and move on, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. And I mean, the other thing to me is the fact that we want to take it to our other half to discuss it means that we already value what they have to add to it. We're not going to them because we don't want to vent to them or because we don't want their opinion. We do. That's why we're bringing it up. Otherwise you'd whinge to a friend or you'd whinge to someone else just to get off your chest. But I think that the point is that we want to fix the problem ultimately, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you were saying, holding on to stuff and not communicating with things. Like, I mean, there's research now into, like your body is holding on to things, and you need to let it go. And that's why, we have a little whinge. I mean, anyone with kids knows they save it up all in the day until you pick them up from school, and then they're like, oh, I had, this happened and this happened and this happened. Da, 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 da. And I can remember talking to my mum about it and being like, oh my gosh, all they do is whinge. I don't know if they had a bad day, but like the teacher said they had a wonderful day, and they're just coming home and it's like they only want to talk to me to whinge about things. And I just don't know why. And she said, that's, because my mum said that's because they feel safe with you, and they just, that's that thing of they just want to tell you all about their day. And my mum said, you're actually doing it to me right now. You've called me up and you just, venting and having a big whinge. I was like, oh, I am. Sorry about that. Well, have a good day. Bye. I'll call you next time I have a problem. But it's that thing of you have to release it. And I mean, I guess that's why it's called venting, right? You just got to vent. And then, I don't know, sometimes I think our guys, that whole, masculine thing where they sort of take it on, like, oh, I'm going to go fix it. And it's like, no, you don't. I've got this, but I just want you to hear me processing. And sometimes it's effective and sometimes it's not. But I think, like you were saying, that communication of letting them know and hearing their point, because you're so right. They often have a really valid point, and they often can see things sometimes a little bit clearer than we can when we're feeling all the emotions, right?
I think that, and surely like part of why we've chosen them to be in our lives because we like that perspective that they offer. Because sometimes you can't see past what's right in front of your face, can you? And you need that. You need someone. And, that happens to me so often. And it's such a simple solution so many times, like, it's like, oh, why don't you just do this? And you're like, oh, how is it possible that I didn't think of that?
You're a genius.
Yeah. I love you. I remember that now. Thank you. Yeah, I think that, and so I think once you've built that relationship with someone and like I actually rely on Shane quite heavily in that way, like to give me that feedback. Sometimes I hate it, I hate what he's saying to me, but it's valid, like it's true. It's not untrue. It's just that I don't want to hear the truth. But I'm certain that that's part of why I love who he is because that's completing my circle, and you need someone to be able to give you those feedback moments where it's like, hang on a second. You just need to be the devil's advocate here and be like, have you thought about this side of things? And I feel like the only people that can get away with doing that are the people that are closest to it. And so it's so helpful for me in particular to have Shane be that person, and I try to mirror that person for him as well. I've read that book many years ago, probably need to do it again, The 5 Love Languages, and I think that actually goes a long way as well, as knowing and understanding how you can be the most supportive, most loving person for your other half is knowing how exactly they want to be loved. Or sometimes they don't even know themselves so either, do they? But like, so for example, I'm pretty sure that Shane is physical touch. So he loves me. Like if we sit there and watch TV, if I scratch his head and things like that, absolutely loves it. Whereas I think I am like words of affirmation where he says to me, dinner was like 5-star Michelin chef quality. He doesn't say that, by the way.
I'm sure he's thinking it. He's thinking it.
Yeah. And I'm poking and prodding, going, "How's dinner? How's dinner? Is it the best you've ever had?" You know, but you know, and I actually think that that's really important for us because when he's like stressed and those sorts of things, it's such a simple thing that I can do to help relax him a little bit. You know, is to pay into that love language and be like, you know what? I don't have the solution that you're looking for right now, but why don't we have a sit down, like have a moment together and just be in each other's presence, you know, to cool us a little bit, try and regroup for tomorrow. Let's do it all again tomorrow.
Oh, Jacqui, you know what I think? I just think you're lucky kids. Your kids are so lucky to have you, and you know, like in the way that you've dealt with, you know, such a huge time in your family. And it sounds like, you know, you and Shayna are doing the things to stay strong and you know, putting all the things in place to make sure that all the effort is, you know, like worth it each step. But you know, all that sort of stuff we preach in like TSA and the Tradies family, that it's sort of like, yeah, there's a lot, but make sure that you don't forget to enjoy everyone while you're doing it, because that is why you're doing it, right?
Yeah, we're working to live, not living to work. You know, that saying reads so true for us in our family. We had children because we wanted to spend time with them. And we wanted to get these memories. And we've learnt that it's not about what we have, but it's about who we share it with and how we spend our time together, you know, because we don't know what's around the corner. So all we can do is the best that we can today. And you know, if we can have a happy family, you know, it's not all roses because our girls are, you know, that preteen space and it makes it really hard. I butt heads with our eldest most of the time, but we're also really good friends, you know, like, and we want to be parents to our children as opposed to being friends to them all the time because we want to keep them safe and those sorts of things. And I think that through everything that TSA is teaching us, it's helping us to be really good examples for them, to help set, you know, standards. We hold high moral standards for them already, but like to be able to be good examples for them as to working hard and making what you want into these achievable goals, so that they can go out there and do the same. You know, Chloe, our eldest, she's like, "Oh, will I take over the business?" And Shane like, not sure. But you've got
if you want to.
Let's go for it. Let's go for it. You know, but yeah, we're just trying our best to be great examples for them in every way that we can. Making lots and lots of mistakes along the way and being accountable for them. You know, and I think that this whole network that you're creating has the opportunity to just be so amazing for so many people because there's so many different things that we're dealing with as families that are operating a trade-based business, you know, and we're all human. And, you know, if we can get there together and pat each other on the back and say, you know, going to get better, going to get out the other side.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like, you're right, it's not all roses, and it's, you know, not like we're sitting here being like, oh, we've got our trade business organized, you can be just like us. You know, like we still have, you know, issues come up and staff come up and, you know, all these things. And like, I'll, you know, say it again, your kids are so lucky to be able to watch the way that you and Shane do that, having that accountability and putting those tools and practices, and like it goes beyond anything to see, you know, for your parents to model, you know, like healthy coping mechanisms, like something's going wrong in life because guess what? in life, it won't go to plan. And, but this is how we're going to work together, and we're going to put our values and our, morals first. And we're going to put the things in place and do what we can to make sure that, we prioritize the things that are really good in our lives. And it 100% sounds like you're doing that. So thank you so much for just all your strength during this time, and for your kids. That it's absolutely incredible. I can't wait to meet you in the flesh. I think you're an amazing woman.
Frankie, you're not bad yourself.
Do what we can.
And also, like, I'm more than happy if anyone wants to reach out to me to have a chat about anything as well. Find me on the Facebook group, reach out. I'm happy to talk more about anything or listen,
I love that. I love Jacqui, I love you. I think I have a crush. You're amazing.
We're not that far away.
So okay, I'm going to get record off so we don't have to tell everyone our address. But yeah, like let's tee that up. I know you've got a 2.5-year-old, so
it's awkward. You know what? Shane has given me the luxury of having 5 nights away, leaving him and the kids at home. I get to go with friends in Tassie at the end of the month. And that's a big deal thing coming from a business side of things as well, because that means that he's going to be doing the school run. He's going to be doing the mornings and wearing literally all of the hats.
Yes. Wow. It's a lot of hats. Good on him.
Beforehand. So
when do you go?
I think the 22nd. So yeah, not far at all.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Okay, so something I ask everyone. I was going to say, so what would before you started this business journey, before Shane went out on his own, what advice would you have liked?
I think that probably what would have been good is that it's really important to set goals, because otherwise you're kind of just floating around doing the same thing, playing Groundhog Day every single day. If you can establish yourself some really good goals, and obviously those things change and shift as you move through time, because you get to check off those little ones that are easy to achieve, and you're still working towards those bigger ones. But the bigger ones change, like if you add kids into the mix, that house that you dreamed of looks different, because your priorities change and shift with that. And I think that had we had some goal planning in place at that point in time, it would have helped us a bit more with direction in what we wanted for ourselves, for our family, and helped us to just define some of those things a little bit better, I think.
Mm-hmm. So those goals in your personal life, some life goals and some bucket lists and some the structure, the way you wanted to live your life, as opposed to always trying to get the business going. Yeah. Awesome. Amazing.
Down on paper, let's travel to this place, let's travel to that place, let's have a house by now, and those sorts of things. I think that as you work towards those things, you get to tick that off the list, and it's a really satisfying feeling to be able to achieve those goals, even if they're just little ones.
100%. Yeah, you gotta celebrate all the little ones, because they all mount up to the big ones, right? And even just a little weekend away or 5 days away, like they are the things that are really special, and the things that mean things at the end of the day, right? Yeah.
Get through to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, Jacqui, I'm gonna text you as soon as we hop off this call. But thank you so much for telling us about Matt, and just wishing him and his family and you all so much love. And big shout out to Shane. Sounds like he's doing an incredible job. As well as yourself, you're, like I said, incredible woman, amazing parents, you're lucky kids. And I will let your daughters know that Some random person I spoke to on a podcast said I'm an amazing mum. So just, pack that with your lunch. But I'll leave you here and I'll text you right now.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Frankie.
Thank you, Jacqui. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Tradies Family Podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast if you like what you've heard and share it with your friends. We'll be back next week with more community support and advice. But in the meantime, you can follow us on the socials at The Tradies Family or email us at thetradesfamily@academygroup.io. We love to hear from you. Bye for now.